Hmm. Well, my apologies to the early morning conscious movers. I I was up, sitting on the couch, and 20 to 7. I suddenly realized, oh no, it's Tuesday morning. So I hope you found some music to move to on your own. Um, Reminds me when I've really blown it like that. I've done a few times in my life that have been really bad. There was a woman who had a lot of betrayal in her life, and I saw her for 3 or 4 years and really gained her trust, and I was very dependable in many ways. And then her family, she wanted to do a family meeting, and the family was coming to town, and it was a Sunday afternoon, I think. And I completely forgot. And my answering service was such then that they couldn't reach me. They didn't have a home phone number, and I never had further contact with her. It was very sad. So whenever I schedule something outside of my normal track, I need to have alarms, and it's really it's possible to do a lot of harm by that kind of thing. Inadvertent, you know. So it might be worth following that there's a little Dharma teaching on it, which was it's possible to do harm when one's intentions are actually very pure. There's a true story, reported to be true, that the Dalai Lama sent a team of men into Tibet on some mission, and they were captured and all killed. And in an interview, the fellow who was an Italian fellow who was writing a book through his interviews with the Dalai Lama, said, "Don't you feel really bad about that?" And he said, "Of course I feel bad. They were my friends. I'd known them my whole life." And I forget the way it went from there, but it was what the Dalai Lama said, but I reflect on my intentions. And my intentions were not that. My intentions were really to do good. The mission was some humanitarian something. And so while I feel bad about the loss of my friends, I don't have to beat myself up that I did it wrong. I just I did the best I could. So that's a very helpful piece of information for me sometimes. It's like, well, you do everything you can, and then things still go awry sometimes monstrously awry. So I have a very short poem this morning from Thich Nhat Hanh. Oh, I should do station identification. This is Robert Beatty. The day is hang on. Oh, it wants my passcode.
18.
The what?
18.
18, thank you. It's the 18th of May, oriented as to month. And this is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. And those of you that are on Facebook and YouTube, if you'd like to join us on Zoom, you can go to robertbeatty.com and find the secret key. All right, this is from Thich Nhat Hanh. 4 little lines. Ready? Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. my occasional finger numbness is with me, so I'm not even going to approach the guitar. So let's sit. Let's remember to remember. A lot can happen today, 24 hours. Completely unpredictable. We have our plans, certainly. We have our best intentions. We may remind ourselves of refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Simply to remember to be awake again and again today. To be curious about the truth of impermanence. And to remember that we do this journey alone, but closely, arms interlocked with our fellow journeyers. And we might call to mind the precepts, the guides to help us with our interpersonal behavior, our relationship to the world. I undertake the training of the heart to do my very best to refrain from killing in all forms. I aspire to live harmoniously and peacefully with all beings. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from taking that which is not freely given. I aspire to become generous, open-hearted toward all beings, including myself. I undertake the training of the heart to be very conscious what I do with the powerful energies of sexuality to do no harm. I aspire to use libido and life energy to bring love and beauty into the world. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from speech that causes speech that is dishonest, that is exaggerated, that is gossipy, that is pointless, that is intended to create distance between people. I undertake the training, or I aspire to use speech to create harmony and connection. I undertake the training of the heart to refrain from intoxicants and those activities that create a blurry consciousness and dull the mind. I aspire to cultivate mindfulness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. And so with our refuges and our precepts, we are well equipped. We are well provisioned for the journey before us. And so with curiosity, what's happening? Notice that there's a body sitting here. Somebody sits here. It's alive. It's nothing but life. It breathes in and breathes out. And we're curious. What's the nature of the mind at this time? Is it wide awake and crisply attentive? Is there some hangover from sleep, some strong pull toward unconsciousness? Is the mind rather easily focused on the breath, on the pressure of the body against the chair? Is it perhaps very dispersed, restless, agitated, or full of desire, wanting, I want something different? Or perhaps disliking? However the mind is, our aspiration and practice is to be awake, to be mindful. Perhaps to know the beginning, middle, and ending of one breath at a time. One breath after another. you'll probably notice that the mind produces a variety of trance states. States in which there's no mindfulness. It's just life rolling on. It's samsara, the wheel of birth and death. One moment conditions the next, conditions the next. And the light of awareness is not there, illuminating what's happening. This is the normal state of the unawakened human mind. With the Buddha's teachings, you have everything that's needed to bring light into this darkness. Each breath has its beginning. Each thought has its beginning and its ending. There is nothing abstract about the meditative mind. We're not paying attention to some description of behavior. We're not observing some image of the breath. We're not imagining breathing in through our hands or feet or heart. We are actually attending to the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen, the sensations of life, or the sensations of the air rushing in and out through the nose, and these movements or these sensations have a moment of birth, a beginning. And then they persist for a little while, always fresh every nanosecond. The breathing continues to be breathing in for a little while, and then it stops, and then breathing out begins. And then it comes to an end. Sometimes the centrifugal forces in the mind are dominant. It's busy thinking, trying to solve a problem, desiring something that it wants to have happen, or striking against, disliking something that's happening, or restless and agitated, worried, planning, or sleepy and dull, or full of doubt. Or maybe there's some emotion predominant. Maybe there's sadness or despair or ebullient happiness or shame, excitement. Vipassana meditation, insight meditation, is about seeing things as they really are, but seeing reality clearly. This moment is like this. With mindfulness, we notice the activities of the mind. We notice the impulses, the intentions. When the mind starts going off on some obsession about something or some reactivity to what someone has said or what the mind has thought. Only with mindfulness do we begin to have any choice. Without mindfulness, we are robots, androids. And so we hone mindfulness, curiosity, persistence, concentration, tranquility, joy. We develop these exquisite capacities We notice the arising of liking and disliking. And we shape our activities of mind and body and speech in the directions of compassion and love, of restraint, of speaking skillfully, of learning how to remain silent. Please let us become aware of whatever the mood is that's coloring consciousness. Unobserved, mood colors everything. We take the perceptions that arise out of mood to be the truth. Mood can be depressed, can be anxious. It can be very calm and quiet. It can be confident or filled with uncertainty, free-floating anxiety. Seeing it for what it is. Mood. Not personal, not a self. And we may remind ourselves, I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in each moment. When I discover that there's suffering, pain, I aspire to hold myself in sweet compassion. And as my eyes and heart become clear, I will see others through eyes of compassion. In this way, I aspire to live peacefully in the world. I'm going to end our meditation time this morning with a reading from Matt Flickstein, a teacher I've worked with over about a decade, on and off, mostly on, once again on now. And I invite you just to let this flow through you and over you. What anatta, what selflessness, what the deep teaching of the Buddha really means. So don't try to cling to it. Just let it flow through and see how it affects things. It is the recognition that the body is never the same from moment to moment. As a consequence, the word, quote, body does not truly apply. Body is just a conceptual overlay on a constantly changing process. There is a further knowing that this process is dependent upon many factors, such as food, the breath, environmental conditions, and so on. The body is not an independent entity. It is the recognition that the mind, composed of feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, is never the same from moment to moment. As a consequence, the word mind does not apply. Mind is a conceptual overlay on a constantly changing process. There is a further knowing that this process is dependent upon many factors. For example, feeling and perception are dependent on sense contact and sense consciousness. The mind is not an independent entity. It is the realization that there is no actual subject-object duality. There is no one who sees sights, hears sounds, feels touches, tastes flavors, smells odors, or thinks thoughts. Selflessness means that there is only seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and thinking. This realization arises when the mind has become silent and has stopped its constant internal judgment and commentary regarding every apparent sense experience. It is only the present sense experience that has any apparent reality. The past is only memories, which are a series of thoughts arising in the present moment. The future is only mental projections, which are a series of thoughts arising in the present moment. What is not presently experienced does not truly exist, and that which apparently exists is empty of any inherent reality. What we consider to be realities are merely conceptual processes. This has very deep consequences for the one who realizes this truth. Selflessness means that there is no other. There are no relationships. There is no father, mother, friend, wife, husband, son, or daughter. Those are all conceptual overlays. This does not deny that relationships appear to exist. There are no objects such as houses or cars. Those too are all conceptual overlays. This does not deny that objects appear to exist. It is not possible to truly experience selflessness if there is any clinging. When there is clinging or attachment to persons, objects, memories, having a past, ambition, owning something, holding on to something, creating a particular future, having a political ideology or any beliefs, one stays fixated on the idea of self. The true realization of this selfless nature of everything that apparently exists is the same as the realization of ultimate truth. Selflessness has far-reaching consequences beyond just knowing that the body and mind are not ourself. Life simply lives itself. The ultimate reality continues to express itself in the apparent dualities of life. The ultimate reality and its expressions are one and the same. That is because the expressions of that reality are empty of any inherent reality of their own. And so let us come into contact with that which we experience as the body. It touches the chair. It breathes. Let us notice the mind, the thoughts, the apparent reality of thinking. And let us now create an intention. And that intention will be to bring awareness into the eyes. And then there's an experience that we've all had in the past of, quote, opening my eyes. So let us notice that intention and see how that conditions the next moment of perhaps actually opening the eyes. And we can have a concurrent intention, which is to do that, to be aware then of what happens next. The conditions change, and then there's what we call seeing. It doesn't have to be I'm seeing. It can just be seeing. And then, if you'd like, we can see what we take to be persons. Each of whom has their own story. And we can see with the eyes of compassion. It doesn't have to be something extravagant. It doesn't have to have visualization in it. We can just see. And if we flourish that out, we could say everyone here has hopes and plans for today. Hopes and plans for this lifetime. Some of them will come true, some of them won't. To the degree that we are attached to the outcomes, we suffer. We're also capable of such love and joy and generosity. And we have this astounding tool, sitting together, developing mindfulness. It's the very foundation of true freedom. So I've said a lot this morning. I think I'd like to go skip announcements. And what's happening for you? What are you discovering? How is the Dharma unfolding in your life?
Robert, some of us are grasping after the reading.
I think I cannot post that reading without permission. It just came yesterday, and I think I can't put it out there. It's one of those things that came into being and passed away. Thank you, though, for mentioning that. No, actually, there's nothing. I will put that in my blog. You can find that at robertbeatty.com. Yeah, that's all you need. And then look for blog, and it'll be up there within 10 minutes of finishing our session this morning. No reason to be silly about that. It's the kind of reading, it's that absolute truth stuff that you really can't grasp it with the thinking mind. It just speaks to an intuitive part. And I probably should draw your attention, if you haven't ever been to robertbeatty.com, or even if you have, there's an exquisite presentation of the third Chinese patriarch, the Sin Ming, which starts, "The great way is not difficult for those who are not attached to their preferences." It's got beautiful, beautiful imagery done by a friend of mine, and his son did music, and it's really elegant. It's 6 minutes of eye candy and very profound teachings.
Good morning, Robert. It's Jessica. Hi, Sonia.
Hello, Jessica.
Hi. I just wanted to share because I know I have shared before about the struggles with negative thinking, and just that I think last time I was just sharing one of those felt like a kind of mini bomb went off around all sorts of stuff. And what's been interesting is since then, I do feel like more and more I can feel a thought, especially the negative ones, coming up in my body and in my mind, but I'm catching them a little earlier, and there's just a little more space to go, oh, okay, some more thoughts. And it really is, I just share it because it is happening in terms of just enough distance so that I don't own it. This isn't me, and it's such a relief. I mean, it's such a relief. So we're getting ready to go see the boys, and it's very exciting. There's lots of emotions and thoughts coming up, but I'm not getting trapped in that swing, and I'm just really, really grateful. So I just share that because it's, I feel like I've given a lot of the sharing on the negative side, so maybe I should share a little about, it's kind of working. So thank you very much.
I haven't heard you share anything on a negative side. I've heard you describing in very beautiful, vulnerable ways what your particular edition of the human mind does, and almost everybody in the broadcast gets it because it's well known to people. But how wonderful that your practice is, that's a fruit like this is coming, and it often takes, well, maybe it always takes, with these deeply held personal neurotic patterns, the first step in awakening is always the encounter with dukkha. And to learn to bear the dukkha like a wagon bears a load, which is turning toward it and just, good grief, it's this painful. My neurotic structure is this awful. And then only through that, then we get enough light comes, enough mindfulness comes along that then we can realize, oh, right, okay. That's not personal. That's not a self. I have an image I really like. And I've been so lucky to do the work that I do, and I've seen many times people this is an insight. It's a deep insight, and I have an image that what a 45 or 55 gallon drum looks like. They're pretty big, and it's like at the very bottom of it, you have this little pin, and you go pop, and there's a pinhole. The drum is doomed. The contents of the drum will come out of, and of course the hole will get bigger. But once one sees it, then it's a transformative phenomenon. Though one does have to be patient. It's like, how many times will it have to repeat? Well, a lot, but with less and less sticking power. So thank you. Is that a Superwoman shirt under their super? It looks like a suit.
No, this is one of our favorite bands. It's called Dawn of the Buffalo. It's a buffalo
Oh, cool.
from upstate New York. It's a bluegrass band.
I see. I thought you had it there in case you had to go to work this morning in your super outfit. I'm not sure how it happened, but last week or the week before, I twice stayed up late, ridiculously, watching superhero movies. Good grief. What an utter distracting waste of time. Oh dear. Strange things that the neurotic mind wants to do.
Hey Robert, it's Neil.
Neil, hello. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for the sit this morning. I appreciated it. And what you said during the sit about the centrifugal force of the mind and thoughts resonated with me. And my mind. I've had, like last night and 2 weeks ago, I have a problem with an employee, and my mind is trying to figure out what to do. And she's sort of like Dennis Rodman in a lot of ways. She's really difficult to deal with off the court, but when she hops on the court, she's really, really good at what she does. And the real problem is my interactions with her, and my mind is trying to figure it out. And I know that there's some dynamics from the past, in past relationships that are popping up in this one. And my mind is trying to figure it out. And I would like it to stop. I wish it would stop because it's keeping me up at night. But and I've sat there with it and just been like, I can't do anything about this outside of what I've already done. So I don't know. It's what's going on in my mind of late, recently.
Well, there's a generic instruction or guidance when that kind of thing is happening, which is to observe it for what it is, which is restless, agitated mind. It's a mind that has a problem and is trying to solve it. And for the purposes of your meditation time, to notice it as mind and then to come back to the sensations of breathing. Just like you remember the old days of the needle on the record? Just lift the needle and change the track. And it seems trivial, but over time we learn how to lift the needle and change the track, at least for the time of the meditation. And then maybe some intuitive resolution will come, or some other training, or some other something you'll need to do. But to learn how to move toward tranquility despite the content of mind is the meditative intervention.
I hear that makes sense. For me, I wish I could take the record off the thing to get all together, but I don't have that choice.
One track at a time. Oh, I hate this track. I'm going to change to this next track. At least that's better.
So the hope is for the choice to arise eventually during the sit.
Right. Well, and it does arise. Like you, the way you describe it, you can see these thoughts as thoughts and emotions sometimes. And that's already hugely, you've got a huge leg up there, because that means you can further develop that capacity. This is thinking. Thank you for sharing. Changing the track. Now, I mean, there might be something else to do. There might be some therapy work to do on whatever the triggers are in yourself that are getting set off. Maybe this person reminds you of somebody earlier in your life, and maybe there's some untangling to do back then. But that's not the work of your meditation. That's the archaeological work that would be therapy.
Right.
Or maybe not even therapy with someone else, but doing journal work or something.
Yeah, I've got that going on.
Good.
I appreciate the track. It's interesting to hear that, the track metaphor.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. I just had a series of thoughts pass through. And one of them was of a friend of mine. I think he may have passed away. We haven't communicated in 15 years anyway. A Dharma teacher by the name of Eric Kolvig. And he taught at PIMC a couple of times long ago. Do you remember Eric, Jim? Was that, no, it would have been a Dharma Rain. It was that long ago.
I don't remember him clearly, but I remember the Dharma talks that you gave after you went on that meditation hike with him in New Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something. We went into traditional, we got special authorization from a Navajo chief, and we went into traditional Navajo lands south of Lake Mead. And we hiked for maybe 6 or 8 hours a day mindfully, and camped. It was something really quite powerful. But he had a saying, and he said, "Samsara is broken, and there's no fixing it. The wheel of birth and death, this world we live in, is broken, and we're not going to fix it." So it's great to be involved in whatever activism in whatever levels we do, finally getting the house cleaned up, or finally getting the house painted, or working for social justice in various ways. We're never going to arrive. There's always going to be lots of dukkha. Because we'll always be wanting, here's a funny one, to get our relationship together. For the relationship with, we had a bad at the table process last night with my 17-year-old stepson. Adolescents are kind of wild. So anyway, it can be quite a relief to realize that it's always going to be this work, and learning the basic steps of the dance, which are, among them, mindfulness can be present no matter what's happening. And restraint is possible. It's possible to have angry, hurt, freaked out thoughts, and to sit for a little while and to realize, oh, those are thoughts. And maybe those are thoughts I don't even have to do anything about. They're just thoughts. So thanks to Eric Kolvig, samsara is broken and there's no fixing it. It's really quite a... It's not a move toward hopelessness or powerless. It's a move toward tremendous power, which is, oh, I can find a place in here, not even that's wrong, but I can cultivate a consciousness which can accept reality on its own terms and not create always more furor. This person behaves like this. And they keep behaving like this despite the fact that I've studied nonviolent communication, and I've done my therapy work about my mother that they reminded me of, and so on and so on and so on. And golly, they're still behaving the same way. Can I stop suffering now? Finally, the Democrats got control of the House and the Senate and the presidency, and everything's great now. Or not. Not that I don't have my preferences, I'd say, for sure. So anything else from you folks?
Hi, Robert. It's Trisha.
Trisha, hello. Are you here on this planet? No, are you here in Portland?
Yes, I am.
Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to comment on that idea of changing the track on the record. I've been reading Michael Pollan's latest book, How to Change Your Mind. And I'm sure I'm not going to do justice to this analogy, but it was an interesting one for me. He was talking about how mind is like not just our own mind, but it's kind of like the greater mind or the ethereal, human consciousness mind. And he was giving the analogy of how it's like what we tune into is almost like a TV. And you've got like this news broadcaster, a woman speaking the news, which is, what you're finding in your head. And he said, you wouldn't go looking inside the TV for the woman that's speaking.
Yeah.
Would change the channel. You would change the TV channel and have a different speaker or whatever, or find a different program. And I like that idea. It's similar to changing the track on the record, but there's something for me in thinking about how it's not my own personal thoughts, but it's just universal thought that I happen to be tuning in. That has allowed me to depersonalize it. And it's, similar to what you were, the reading of Matt Flickenstein's that you gave to at the end of the talk.
Yeah.
I have to throw that in there for what it's worth.
Thank you. That's well put. It can seem disloyal to the neurotic mind to change the track, though, can't it? Like, aren't I supposed to? I mean, this happened. Aren't I supposed to be angry and stay angry? Or well, maybe not. Maybe it's over. I'm going to change my promise about posting that poem and the reading. That when we close here, I'm just going to sit for a while, but I'll do it right after that. Sometimes there's a pull, just go in, so I'm going to follow that. Well, anybody sitting with something you'd like to speak? Let's close with that beautiful Sufi Ya Shakur Wazifa, as they're called. The one that says, Ya Shakur, we let our hands fill with our heart energy, and I've got to move this microphone a bit. We then pick someone, see them, and Ya Shakur, which means how exquisitely God, the universe, the one, is manifesting to me in this moment as you. It's Ya Shakur. So it's a delight practice in a way. It's like, oh my goodness, such exquisite beauty shows up on our screens. Imagine, this is just one thing, but imagine sitting in a room or sitting at a computer screen with other human beings who are willing to devote an hour and 15 minutes of their early morning to learning to observe their own consciousness. What a strange sample of human beings that is. What a rarefied sample. So that means everyone here has some deep call to the inner life. It's not a trivial thing in the least. It's huge. And so that's the beauty we're faced with. So we'll do it 9 times, which is I don't know why 9, but better than 3. So, and let's do it with great delicacy and beauty, though do unmute if you wish. So it goes like this. Picking someone, Ya Shakur. And do it out loud, will you please? And Ya Shakur.
Ya Shakur.
Ya Shakur.
Ya Shakur.
Ya
Ya
Shakur.
Shakur.
Ya
Ya Shakur. Ya Shakur.
3 more times.
Ya Shakur.
Ya
Shakur.
Ya
Ya Shakur.
And once more for good luck.
Ya Shakur.
Have a lovely day, dear friends. May we be mindful and kind to ourselves and all beings. Thanks for coming this morning to make this possible.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Sangha.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Sangha.
Bye, Jessica.
Have a great day.
Goodbye. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Tamara. And Hadley. Live long and prosper.
Peace and love.
And peace and love.
Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook and YouTube.